And Matt, it is on you whenever you're ready.
All right. Okay, did it work? I got my screen? Yes, no, maybe.
I can see you, Matt.
Okay, I was just making sure it actually shared. I had to swap computers right before this, so I'm not exactly sure if I'm set up right. Which of the following is a type of analog? Ooh, hey, it'd be nice if I started on question one, wouldn't it? What is the name of the process that shows that a square wave is made up of a sine wave plus all of its odd harmonics? And that would be Fourier analysis. Which of the following is a type of analog to digital conversion? That would be successive approximation. What type of wave does a Fourier analysis show to be made up of sine waves of a given fundamental frequency plus all its harmonics? And the type of wave would be a sawtooth wave. What is dither with respect to analog to digital converters? It is a small amount of noise added to the input signal to allow more precise representation of a signal over time. And I apologize if y'all can hear the roofers working on my neighbor's roof. What of the following instruments would be the most accurate for measuring the RMS voltage of a complex waveform? It would be a true RMS calculating meter. What is the approximate ratio of PEP to average power in a typical single sideband phone signal? That's 2.5 to 1. What determines the PEP to average power ratio of a single sideband phone signal? And that would be speech characteristics. Why would a direct or flash conversion analog to digital converter be useful for a software-defined radio? Will provide a very high speed, which allows digitizing higher frequencies. How many different input levels can be encoded by an analog to digital converter with 8-bit resolution? It's 256. What is the purpose of a low-pass filter used in conjunction with a digital to analog converter? Is to remove harmonics from the output caused by the discrete analog levels generated. Which of the following is a measure of the quality of an analog to digital converter? It's total harmonic distortion. What is the modulation index of an FM signal? It is a ratio of frequency deviation to modulating signal frequency. How does the modulation index of a phase modulated emission vary with RF carrier frequency? It does not depend on the RF carrier frequency. What is the modulation index of an FM phone signal having a maximum frequency deviation of 3000 Hertz either side of the carrier frequency when the modulating frequency is 1000 Hertz? Answer is 3. What is the modulation index of an FM phone signal having a maximum carrier deviation of plus or minus 6 kilohertz when modulated with a 2 kilohertz modulating frequency? 3. What is the deviation ratio of an FM phone signal having a maximum frequency swing of plus or minus 5 kilohertz when the maximum modulation frequency is 3 kilohertz? 1.67. What is the deviation ratio of an FM phone signal having a maximum frequency swing of plus or minus 7.5 kilohertz when the maximum modulation frequency is 3.5 kilohertz? And it's 2.14. Orthogonal frequency division multiplexing is a technique used for which type of amateur communication? High-speed digital modes. What describes the orthogonal frequency division multiplexing? It's a digital modulation technique using subcarriers at frequencies chosen to avoid intersymbol interference. What is deviation ratio? The ratio of the maximum carrier frequency deviation to the highest audio modulated frequency. What is frequency division multiplexing? It's 2 or more information streams are merged into a baseband, which then modulates the transmitter. What is digital time division multiplexing? 2 or more signals are arranged to share discrete time slots of a data transmission. How is forward error correction implemented? By transmitting extra data that may be used to detect and correct transmission errors. What is the definition of symbol rate in a digital transmission? It's the rate at which the waveform changes to convey information. Why should phase shifting of a PSK signal be done at the zero crossing of the RF signal? It's to minimize bandwidth. What technique minimizes the bandwidth of a PSK31 signal? Use, oh goodness, of sinusoidal data pulses. What is the approximate bandwidth of a 13 word per minute international Morse code transmission? It'd be 52 hertz. What is the bandwidth of a 170 hertz shift, 300 baud ASCII transmission? It'd be 0.5 kilohertz. What is the bandwidth of a 4800 hertz frequency shift, 9600 baud ASCII FM transmission? It's 15.36 kilohertz. How does ARQ accomplish error correction? If errors are detected, a retransmission is requested. Which digital code allows only one bit to change between sequential code values? It can be gray code. How may symbol rate be increased without increasing bandwidth? By using a more efficient digital code. What is the relationship between symbol rate and baud? They're the same. What factors affect the bandwidth of a transmitted CW signal? Keying speed and shape factor, with the rise and fall time. Why are received spread spectrum signals resistant to interference? Signals not using the spread spectrum that word are suppressed in the receiver. What spread spectrum communications technique uses a high-speed binary bit stream to shift the phase of an RF carrier? It's direct sequence. How does the spread spectrum technique of frequency hopping work? The frequency of the transmitted signal is changed very rapidly according to a pseudo-random sequence also used by the receiving station. What is the primary effect of extremely short rise or fall time on a CW signal? The generation of key clicks. What is the most common method of reducing key clicks? Increase keying waveform rise and fall times. What is the advantage of including parity bits in ASCII characters? Some types of errors can be detected. What is a common cause of overmodulation of AFSK signals? Excessive transmit audio levels. What parameter evaluates distortion of an AFSK signal caused by excessive input audio levels? Intermodulation distortion. What is considered acceptable maximum IMD level for an idling PSK signal? -30 dB. What are some of the differences between the Auto signal code and ASCII? The B word uses 5 data bits per character. ASCII uses 7 or 8. The B word uses 2 characters as letters or figures shift codes. ASCII has no letters or figures shift code. What is one advantage of using ASCII code for data communications? It's possible to transmit both upper and lowercase text. That is all for sub element 8.
That wasn't a whole heck of a lot. Which is okay. Matt, let me ask you, do you want to go ahead and present sub-element 10 on safety? It's only a single subsection. If we can go ahead and do that today.
No worries. Give me 1 second just to get to it and we'll knock that out.
Okay. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
not a whole lot on it.
Yeah, I realized last night that it was, extremely small. I was like, yeah. Okay.
Oop.
Okay. Safety. What is the primary function of an external earth connection or ground rod? And that would be lightning protection. When evaluating RF exposure levels from your station at a neighbor's home, what must you do? Ensure signals from your station are less than the uncontrolled maximum permitted exposure, MPE, limits. Over what range of frequencies are the FCC human body RF exposure limits most restrictive? 30 to 300 megahertz. When evaluating a site with multiple transmitters operating at the same time, the operators and licensees of which transmitters are responsible for mitigating overexposure situations. Each transmitter that produces 5% or more of its MPE limit in areas where the total MPE limit is exceeded. What is one of the potential hazards of operating in the amateur radio microwave bands? The high gain antennas commonly used can result in high exposure levels. Why are there separate electric and magnetic field MPE limits? A, the body reacts to electromagnetic radiation from both the E and H fields. B, ground reflections and scattering make the field strength vary with location. C, the E field and H field radiation intensity peaks can occur at different locations. D, all these choices are correct. How many dangerous levels of carbon monoxide from an emergency generator? How many dangerous levels of carbon monoxide from an emergency generator can be detected? They're missing a word here. Only with a carbon monoxide detector. Carbon monoxide is an odorless, colorless gas that can kill you. What does SAR measure? The rate at which RF energy is absorbed by the body. And SAR stands for specific absorption rate. Which insulating material, commonly used as a thermal conductor for some types of electronic devices, is extremely toxic if broken or crushed and the particles are accidentally inhaled? Beryllium oxide. I was surprised I could pronounce that, I know. What toxic material may be present in some electronic components, such as high voltage capacitors and transformers? Polychlorinated biphenyls.
Yeah, those have been outlawed for a while. But if you play with boat anchor stuff, you may run into that.
Oh, dang, this is a nice one. Which of the following injuries can result from using high power UHF or microwave transmitters? The localized heating of the body from RF exposure in excess of the MPE limits.
Right.
Yep. All right. I will stop sharing my screen.
All right. Any questions before we do some practice sessions? No, these are, some of these are the sort of things that you really are going to have to memorize. There won't be easy ways to logic your way through them. So let's start. I want to go ahead and share my screen. All right, everybody able to see it?
Yes.
Okay, so what is the name of the process that shows that a square wave is made up of a sine wave plus all of its odd harmonics?
B.
Yeah, B, bravo, Fourier analysis. Fourier, he was a French mathematician, and he basically found a way to represent, any kind of waveform is a sum of other waveforms. And, what you do is you use Fourier analysis to go ahead and analyze, say an equation, and it will show you how to go ahead and build that waveform out of simpler pieces. So with that, you can make up a square wave with a bunch of sine waves. Interesting stuff, but we digress. Which of the following is a type of analog to digital conversion?
Successive approximation.
Yeah, it's going to be C, Charlie. What type of wave does a Fourier analysis show to be made up of sine waves at a given fundamental frequency plus all its harmonics?
Sawtooth wave.
B.
Yeah, it's going to be a sawtooth wave. Square wave is just the odd harmonics. What is dither with respect to analog to digital converters?
C, a small amount of noise added to the input signal.
Yeah, and if you've got an ICOM IC7300, you have the option to go ahead and introduce dither to help clean up your signal. It seems counterproductive to inject noise in, but it actually helps get a more precise representation.
How do you know your transmitter's doing that?
It's a setting, and I
No,
believe
I meant if you want to use the setting, how do you know your transmitter's sending the signal that's not right, or the signal you want to clear up?
I mean, how do you know you need it?
Yeah. How do you know you need it? Well, I'm asking. That's the guy on the other end tells you sound terrible. Or
no, it's very useful for when you have strong signals. It can help clear those up, because a lot of times with a strong signal it'll overload, and it's basically throwing too strong of a signal in there. So the analog to digital converter comes out, instead of being able to properly quantize the signal, it just all the registers get flipped to one, and it becomes noise. So it can help with that. But yeah, Mike, I can show you where you would go to set that in the IC7300.
okay, thanks.
Okay, what of the following instruments would be the most accurate for measuring the RMS voltage of a complex waveform?
A true RMS.
C, like a dog.
Yeah. What is the approximate ratio of PEP to average power in a typical single sideband phone signal?
Like alpha?
Yeah, 2.5 to 1. What determines the PEP to average power ratio of a single sideband phone signal?
Bravo.
Yeah, Bravo, speech characteristics. Why would a direct or flash conversion analog to digital converter be useful for a software-defined radio?
A.
Yeah, flash converter, it's able to do that extremely quickly. Because of that, the quicker it's able to do it, the higher the frequency it'll be able to digitize. How many different input levels can be encoded by an analog to digital converter with 8-bit resolution?
C.
See, 256.
Yeah, 256, and that's going to be, since it's 8 bits, it's going to be 2 to the 8th power, which is 256. What is the purpose of a low-pass filter used in conjunction with a digital to analog converter?
B.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be this. What happens a lot of times is that the digital to analog converter, you remember from last week that it needs to operate at least twice the frequency of the highest frequency that it's going to be able to convert. But because of that, you also get some artifacts that are outside the bandwidth that you're interested in at higher frequencies. So to remove those, you'll go ahead and use a low pass filter. Which of the following is a measure of the quality of an analog to digital converter?
That's B.
Yeah, total harmonic distortion. All right.
A lot of purple on that screen.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Only we could take it all as a group, we'd be doing awesome.
So what is the modulation index of an FM signal? You think it's Bravo? No.
I think it's Delta.
Like an alpha.
Either A or D.
Huh?
Oh, I missed that one. That's it. Yeah, it's D.
How does the modulation index of a phase modulated emission vary with RF carrier frequency?
Charlie.
I thought I heard Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie.
That's correct. What is the modulation index of an FM phone signal having a maximum frequency deviation of 3,000 hertz either side of the carrier frequency when the modulating frequency is 1,000 hertz?
D, like in Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie. What is the modulation index of an FM phone signal having a maximum carrier deviation of plus or minus 6 kilohertz when modulated from a 2 kilohertz modulating frequency?
Like alpha.
Yeah, alpha. What is the deviation ratio of an FM phone signal having a maximum frequency swing of plus or minus 5 kilohertz when the maximum modulation frequency is 3 kilohertz?
Bravo.
Bravo. Are we sure?
Yeah,
That-
John,
They was trying to chicklets there.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of trying to mess with you.
Right.
What is the deviation ratio of an FM phone signal having a maximum frequency swing of plus or minus 7.5 kilohertz when the maximum modulation frequency is 3.5 kilohertz?
what indeed?
Delta?
Yeah.
Yeah. Orthogonal frequency division multiplexing is a technique used for which type of amateur communication?
B.
B.
Bravo?
Mhm.
What describes orthogonal frequency division multiplexing?
A.
How about Charlie? Yeah. What is deviation ratio? Bravo? No.
I think it's D.
It's D.
Yeah, delta. What is frequency division multiplexing?
C. Ah, A.
Yeah.
Alpha. Yeah.
I'm gonna fail this test.
What is digital time division multiplexing? Yeah, a good example of this is DMR. Yeah, DMR, you have two signals that it can transmit, and it basically switches between the two. Okay, how is forward error correction implemented?
C.
What is the definition of symbol rate in a digital transmission?
A.
Alpha?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Why should phase shifting of a PSK signal be done at the zero crossing of the RF signal?
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie. What technique minimizes the bandwidth of a PSK31 signal?
A.
A, because I couldn't pronounce that one.
Alpha.
Sinusoidal. Soidal.
Sinusoidal.
What is the approximate bandwidth of a 13 word per minute international Morse code transmission?
A.
Yeah. What is the bandwidth of a 170 hertz shift 300 baud ASCII transmission?
Mhm.
D.
D.
Bravo. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the bandwidth of a 4,800 hertz frequency shift, 9,600 baud ASCII FM transmission?
That's gotta be C.
Yep, it's C. How does ARQ accomplish error correction?
C.
Delta.
Which digital code allows only one bit to change between sequential code values?
A.
Gray code.
Yeah, gray code. How may data rate be increased without increasing bandwidth?
A, more efficient digital code.
Yeah,
That's straightforward.
what is the relationship between symbol rate and baud?
A.
Alpha, they're the same.
Yeah, they're the same thing. What factors affect the bandwidth of a transmitted CW signal?
Rise and fall time.
C.
Yeah, C. All right, we did good on that one. Why are received spread spectrum signals resistant to interference?
C.
Yeah, C. What spread spectrum communications technique uses a high-speed binary bit stream to shift the phase of an RF carrier?
Direct sequence.
Yeah, direct sequence. How does the spread spectrum technique of frequency hopping work?
Bravo.
Yeah, this the idea of frequency hopping actually was originally proposed by actress Hedy Lamarr,
Oh, yeah.
and as well as being very beautiful. She's also a pretty smart cookie.
Invented Wi-Fi, didn't she?
Yeah, a lot of the things behind Wi-Fi, came from her. What is the primary effect of extremely short rise or fall time on a CW signal?
C.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah, you're going to get key clicks. What is the most common method of reducing key clicks?
Be like in Bravo. Oops.
C.
C.
Remember, they said it was related to rise and fall time. So
Oh, okay.
short rise and fall times cause it. How about if we increase the rise and fall times? What is the advantage of including parity bits in ASCII characters?
A.
Yeah, A. And a lot of this stuff, for those of us who have worked in, computers and computer networking, there's a lot of analogs between, computer networking and signal analysis. What is a common cause of overmodulation of AFSK signals?
D. Delta.
Yeah, if you your audio levels are too high, you're gonna have overmodulation. What parameter evaluates distortion of an AFSK signal caused by excessive input audio levels?
A, alpha.
Yeah, the IMD.
Hey, George, can I sit next to you when we take the exam?
What is considered an acceptable maximum IMD level for an idling PSK signal?
Delta.
Yeah, delta. What are some of the differences between the Baudot digital code and ASCII?
C.
Yeah, easy way to remember this, Baudot only uses 5 bits instead of 7 or 8 for ASCII. What is one advantage of using ASCII code for data communications?
B.
Yeah, we can get upper and lower case
case, yeah.
text. Baudot is used in RTTY, and if you ever look at a RTTY decoder, everything is in uppercase. All right, let's hit the safety section. What is the primary function of an external earth connection or ground rod?
Be like Bravo.
Yeah, lightning protection. When evaluating RF exposure levels from your station in a neighbor's home, what must you do?
What's the difference between B and D? Ensure signals from your station are less than the uncontrolled. Oh, emission or
It is.
P, delta.
Yeah, delta. Over what range of frequencies are the FCC human body RF exposure limits most restrictive?
Alpha. No, D.
B, huh?
Yeah, D.
Delta. 10 meters to 1 1/4 meters.
Yeah,
When evaluating a site with multiple transmitters operating at the same time, the operators and licensees of which transmitters are responsible for mitigating overexposure situations?
A.
yeah.
A. What is one of the potential hazards of operating in the amateur radio microwave bands?
C.
Yeah. Why are there separate electric and magnetic field MPE limits?
C.
C.
Yeah, all the above. How may dangerous levels of carbon monoxide from an emergency generator be detected?
C.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's odorless and colorless, so you need to have a CO detector. What does SAR measure?
C.
Yeah, that's gonna measure the rate at which the human body absorbs RF energy. Which insulating material commonly used as a thermal conductor for some types of electronic devices is extremely toxic if broken or crushed and the particles are accidentally inhaled?
A like Alpha.
Yeah, alpha beryllium oxide.
What does extremely toxic mean? Can it kill you?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it kind of like what you would get with what they call heavy metal poisoning.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not the same as, like, you know, drinking battery acid. It's going to cause, you know, a different type of reaction in the human body. Okay, what toxic material may be present in some electronic components, such as high voltage capacitors and transformers?
B.
Yeah, probably.
PVC, was it what, PCB, I think they call it, the initials.
Yeah, PCB,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. I don't know the chemical name of it, but I had many a transformers I had to fight with PCB.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it worked very well. It just happened to be incredibly toxic. You know,
We
it's
had
like
a
a lot of stuff.
transformer out on the industrial canal, no, in the coastal canal, and it started leaking. And I had to call GE, and because it was GE's transformer, and they dug the earth up around the transformer, took the transformer out, took the dirt out. They had to get rid of the dirt separate from where they got rid of the transformer, and then give the guy a new transformer. I mean, it is unbelievable what they do when that thing leaks.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff is toxic. It really is.
Hopefully they gave him some new dirt too.
Yeah,
They brought they brought all the, they took all the dirt out and had trucks come in with new dirt, put it all there, and then and this was just where the transformer was being stored. It was going on a deck of a offshore platform that I was working with, and like I say, this was just in the storage place of the transformer. God knows if that thing leaked in a coastal canal.
oh yeah. Okay, final question for this evening. Which of the following injuries can result from using high power UHF or microwave transmitters?
B.
Yeah, bravo. All right. So,
Got left is antennas.
yeah, all that's left is antennas. I'll present that next Tuesday. By covering section 10, we've kind of regained a week that we had lost with Ida. I am more than happy to, we can just go ahead and meet and do, a few practice exams as a group, if y'all are good with that. Or if you're ready to go ahead and take the exam, I can go ahead and let the VEC know, and we can get that scheduled, whatever works for you guys. So we can make a decision on that next week. So any questions on what we covered tonight?
I'm good.
Everybody good? All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording then, and I'll get this uploaded